Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB and today is the 23rd of February 2026 and unfortunately guys, the price of Bitcoin on the global cryptocurrency market is not looking great at all. And if you look at the market sentiment Satoshi, right now we are still at extreme fear resonate. But crazily enough, if you look at ETF connected to cryptocurrencies, surprisingly we have inflows. So could it be possible in the next coming days and weeks? We might be seeing some kind of positive development so far as the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are concerned, Satoshi?
That's a fascinating contradiction, George. It's true, the market sentiment is certainly in extreme fear, yet we're seeing significant ETF inflows, nearly 92 million. This divergence could indeed signal some interesting developments in the coming days and week, especially with such volatile market conditions.
And here's the crazy thing, Satoshi. Unfortunately, the volume of stablecoins isn't looking that great. And here's the thing, guys, we are recording this episode in the early hours of Dubai. And technically, it is still Sunday in most of the Western countries. And so far as the Olympics is concerned, Satoshi, United States of America did actually beat Canada. But here's the thing, guys. Just few minutes ago, there was some really breaking news regarding Mexico, where one of the cartel members was shot down, and there is a bit of unrest. But in today's episode, we won't delve into that. But look, our things at the macro level are definitely interesting right now. And talking about macro level news, guys, I'm noticing a lot of news is developing regarding tokenization, along with stable coins. And when you talk about macro level news, last week President Donald Trump also announced Board of Peace. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be releasing a standalone episode regarding Board of Peace because, according to me, guys, this is history in the making. And right now, there are more than 25 to 28 countries involved. And hopefully, in the near future, we might be getting more countries involved. Now, right now, President Donald Trump is still heading the Board of Peace. Now, another new Satoshi, which I do feel will have a positive impact on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, is an event by President Donald Trump on the 24th, where he's addressing a joint session for Congress. So I do feel news such as this directly and indirectly will impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, isn't it?
Indeed, George. The stablecoin volume is a crucial metric to watch, and the broader macro narrative around tokenization is clearly building momentum. These global developments, including President Trump's scheduled State of the Union address, will definitely influence the market landscape.
But here's the thing, guys, we are going to kickstart today's episode by talking about a breaking news, and this is connected to tariffs. Now, what happened a few days ago, the US Supreme Court did actually strike down President Donald Trump's tariffs. And look, guys, if you're a fan of President Donald Trump, he often said one of his favorite words in the world is tariffs. But here's the thing, guys, there is a positive and interesting twist regarding tariffs. Now, President Donald Trump can still go ahead and implement tariffs. Now, at a broader level, guys, news such as this directly and indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, so we'll definitely go ahead and touch base on that. Now, the second news is connected to Bitcoin mining difficulty. Now, a few weeks ago, Satoshi, we talked about Bitcoin mining difficulty, where it did actually miserably go down. But on the 20th of this month, the Bitcoin mining difficulty did actually shoot up by 15%. So what we'll do in today's episode, we'll go ahead and read out a couple of metrics. Now, for our listeners, Satoshi, what I thought later on in today's episode, we'll also go ahead and discuss how the mining difficulty is calculated and how often the Bitcoin mining difficulty gets adjusted as well, alright?
That's a comprehensive overview, George. The interplay between these macro trends, like the tariff developments and Bitcoin mining difficulty, and the crypto market is critical to explore. We'll certainly dive deep into how these adjustments impact the landscape for our listeners.
Now, the next news we're going to be talking about is also connected to the Trump family, and this is connected to a crypto summit where a lot of CEO and tech founders were involved. And this event, guys, was actually held at Mar-a-Lago, so we'll definitely touch base on this news. Now, according to me, Satoshi, the next news is probably the most important news if you're a fan of Ethereum, and looks like Ethereum wants to be censorship resistant, isn't it? So do you want to tell our listeners what is it that we are going to be talking about regarding Ethereum's news for being a censorship resistant protocol?
You're absolutely right, George. The World Liberty Financial Forum at Mar-a-Lago brought together some key figures, highlighting the ongoing discussions around crypto, tokenization, and regulation. And regarding Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin's post about the censorship resistance upgrade, specifically EIP 8141 and FOCIL, definitely is paramount, as you say. It introduces significant changes for smart accounts and privacy protocols. We'll explore the technical details and impact in this episode. Go on, George.
So we've quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode, and like we do in every Blockchain DXB podcast, Satoshi, We will be looking at two news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. Do you want to tell our listeners what is the first news because it is connected to tokenization, isn't it?
That's right, George. We have two pivotal UAE and Middle East news stories. The first is quite significant in the realm of tokenization. Jozo has issued Saudi Arabia's first private sector tokenized real estate deed, a major milestone for property innovation in the kingdom.
Really interesting. And what about the second news? This is connected to artificial intelligence, isn't it?
That's correct, George. Abu Dhabi's G42 and MBZ are collaborating with a U.S. firm to build a national-scale AI supercomputer in India, highlighting significant UAE Asia collaboration and technology.
And the firm from US, Satoshi, what is the name of it?
The U.S. firm is Cerebras, George.
And for our listeners, MBZ UAE is Mohammed bin Zayed University for Artificial Intelligence. So we'll definitely go and discuss what this news is all about. So look, guys, we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode. But before we go ahead and kickstart today's episode, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey everyone, this episode is powered by a new sponsor, that is Amana. And they are the region's first and fastest growing regulated all-in-one trading and investing app. So look, guys, whether you're looking into invest in US stocks like Apple or Tesla, or mega giants like ADNOC or Salik, Amana puts the financial markets on your fingertips. It includes gold, foreign exchange, ETFs, futures, commodities, and guess what, guys? They have over 375 cryptocurrencies, and this makes them the biggest crypto selection in the region. Now for the blockchain DXB listeners, guys, if you want to go and build long-term wealth without thinking about it every day, explore Amana's pre-built auto investment plans, and all you have to do is set your monthly budget, choose your preferred asset category, and let Amana automate the investing for you. Zero fees, zero lockups, 100% customizable. And here's the thing, guys, funding your account is easier than ever. You can fund your account with Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, instant bank deposits, and even crypto wallets. No friction and no hassles. And the best part is, guys, let's say if you need support, you would absolutely love Amana for this, because they offer 24/6 human customer service, as well as a personalized sales support, real people, real help, and the customer support is in English as well as in Arabic. And for the blockchain DXB listener and community, guys, I do have something really exclusive for you. What you can do is register with Amana using the code blockchain DXB, or you can also use the link that is in the show notes below. And here's the best part, guys. Once you register, fund your account with a minimum of $100 and at least go ahead and make one trade, and then you'll receive a $100 trading bonus credit to your account the following month. But look, guys, it's real important to note, the bonus is non-withdrawable. It is there to help you trade and learn. So look, guys, if you're looking for a transparent, powerful and easy to use app, that's Amana for you. So what are you waiting for, guys? Download the app now, or you can also visit the website that is amana.app, and don't forget to use the code blockchain DXB. And Amana, guys, is all markets one app. Next, guys, I'm happy to announce that blockchain DXB is the official media partner with one of the OGs in the cryptocurrency and blockchain event space, and that is Blockchain Futuristic Conference taking place in Florida this year, as well as ETH Women taking place simultaneously. And trust me, guys, this is an event that you don't want to miss, isn't it? Because for the very first time, North America's most immersive Web3 event is heading to the United States of America, and the Blockchain Futurist Conference and ETH Women event is actually taking place between the 5th and 6th of November. And the location is absolutely stunning, guys. It is taking place at Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, which is in Hollywood, Florida. That's right, guys. Palm trees, panels, and the biggest mind in blockchain and cryptocurrency is all in one place. So there will be multi-stage panels, NFT galleries, DeFi showcases, hand-on tech demos, metaverse experiences, even outdoor VIP cabanas, and quite a lot more. And the Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, guys, is one of the most iconic venues in the country. So look, guys, if you're in the Web3 space, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or even artificial intelligence space, or just want to do some serious networking, this is the place that you got to be. And to all of you blockchain DXB listeners, guys, we have something really interesting for you, because you can get a 25% off the tickets. So just use the code DXB25, and the link to the event as well as the code is in the show notes below. And as an official media partner, I'll be doing exclusive live coverage, interviews, behind the scenes access, and I will be spotlighting some of the most exciting projects shaping the future of decentralized finance tech. So if you're at the venue, guys, definitely come and say hi. Maybe we can catch up for a coffee as well. So listen, guys, the code is DXB25, and by using this code you will be eligible for a 25% discount And the event is taking place between the 5th and 6th of November 2025 at the iconic Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, that is in Hollywood, Florida. And in the show notes below, guys, there's all contact details for Blockchain Futuristic Conference Florida 2025, as well as Eat Women. And look, guys, this is the future of blockchain technology brought into life, so don't just read about it. Be there and head to the website, that is futuristconference.com, and go ahead and use the code DXB25. So see you at the event. Next, Advanced Media. Advanced Media, guys, is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact, guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well. And Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen, guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website, that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so, guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE, so definitely check it out. And also, guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen, guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gulf Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen, guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform, check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally, guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, guys, since you've taken care of that, let's kickstart by looking at the global cryptocurrency market. Now, unfortunately, guys, the numbers are absolutely dreadful, and the global cryptocurrency market is at $2.38 trillion. And if you look at it in terms of dollar amount, it is actually down by 1.50%. And here's the crazy thing, guys. The total cryptocurrency market is well below the $60 billion mark. It is only at $52.8 billion. Now look, guys, in an idealistic world, this number should have been at least around the $100 billion mark. But let's see, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe in a couple of months' time, we might be heading towards that number. Now, why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Why don't you read out the matrix regarding decentralized exchanges? And I thought, let's go ahead and delve into the top 5 volume of decentralized exchanges as well.
You're right, George. The current market cap and volume are indeed down. Looking at decentralized exchanges, or DEXs, the total volume over the last 24 hours is 5.06 billion, with total value locked at 96.26 billion. Uniswap is leading the pack with 1.29 billion in 24-hour volume, followed by Pump, PancakeSwap, BisonFi, and Fluid.
Do you want to read out the matrix for all the remaining 4 of them, please?
Certainly. The 24-hour volume for Pump is 510.92 million, PancakeSwap is 345.76 million, BisonFi 192.96 million, and Fluid is 158.49 million.
Now here's the thing, Satoshi, I've been looking at this number every day for the past few years, and since the last 2 years, this might be the very first time the volume has actually fallen down to $5.06 billion. So things are definitely not looking great in the world of decentralized exchanges. And crazily enough, if you look at the total value locked, today it is down to $96.26 billion. Last year in 2025, this matrix was hovering around the $130 to $140 billion mark, because in 2025, Satoshi, there was a whole narrative regarding treasury firms. So what a lot of businesses were doing, they were buying a lot of cryptocurrencies that was connected to proof of stake, putting it to balance sheets, and then becoming validators. Unfortunately, that is not happening in 2026, and there is another matrix Satoshi called as digital asset treasury inflows. When this particular matrix was started in October of 2025 by DeFiLlama.com, this particular matrix was around the $6 billion mark. Today it is down to millions. It is only at $183.24 million. So this whole narrative regarding treasury firms, mostly connected to proof of stake coins, are definitely taking a massive hit, isn't it?
The drop in DEX volume and TVL is a significant shift from 2025, and the substantial decline in digital asset treasury inflows corroborates that trend, moving from billions to just 183.24 million. It definitely points to a changing market landscape.
Now, the only thing I can suggest to our listeners is, look, guys, at a macro level, things are definitely better than ever. And as we talked about at the beginning of the episode, the news regarding tokenization is definitely building up. And I'm going to be releasing another episode that is connected to Board of Peace. And there I'll go and touch base on how tokenization can be implemented as well. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go back to the global cryptocurrency snapshot. Now, unfortunately, guys, the volume of stablecoins isn't looking that great at all. According to me, this particular matrix has gone from bad to worse. Idealistically, this number should have been at least 4 times of what it is. Because if you look at the USDT's volume, Satoshi, it is well below the $50 billion mark. As a matter of fact, it is only at $41.47 billion. Circle USDC's volume is almost 1/10 of that. It is at $4.34 billion. And FDUSD's volume, probably for the very first time, is below the $200 million mark. It is at $190.66 million. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's quickly run to the market cap, 24-hour trading volume, and dominance of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now Bitcoin's market cap is at $1.34 trillion. Surprisingly, in comparison to last Thursday, this particular market cap is slightly pumped up. But if you look at the 24-hour trading volume, Satoshi, it is only at $17.64 billion. And if you look at Bitcoin's dominance, right now it is at 56.66%. Do you want to read out the matrix for Ethereum, please?
Certainly. For Ethereum, the market cap is $234.46 billion, with 24-hour trading volume at $9.36 billion, and dominance is 9.44%. It's clear there are significant shifts across the board, George.
You're absolutely spot on. And talking about significant shift, one of the changes we saw is regarding Ripple. They have significantly overtaken Binance BNB Coin so far as market cap is concerned. But Ripple's market cap right now is down to $84.61 billion. Last year, Satoshi, in the second quarter of 2025, Ripple's market cap was hovering around the $120 billion mark, so it looks like over $40 billion has been wiped off from Ripple's market cap. And if you look at the 24-hour trading volume, Ripple's 24-hour trading volume is only at $1.33 billion. Now look, Satoshi, am I right in saying when you talk about cryptocurrencies, stablecoin is kind of like the engine of the cryptocurrency world?
That's a valid point, George. Stablecoins are definitely a critical component. For Ripple, the 24-hour trading volume is 1.33 billion, and it's seen a positive 7-day change of 5.70%.
Now we'll definitely look into the process of Ripple, but before that, Satoshi, why don't we do one thing? Why don't we look at metrics regarding stablecoins? Do you want to tell our listeners the market cap of stablecoins? And then, why don't you read out the market cap of the top 5, please?
Let's run through those metrics. The stablecoin's market cap is 310 billion. Tether is 183.53 billion. Circle USDC 74.42 billion. USDS 9.89 million. Athena 6.15 million, and USD1 5.02 billion.
Now, Satoshi, I do want to ask you a very specific question. Now, look, if you look at Tether USDT's market cap, it is at $183.53 billion. But if you look at the 24-hour trading volume, it is significantly less, isn't it? So, according to you, what happens to the remainder of the Tether USDT? Are people just saving it, or do you think they're using it for different purposes?
A large market cap and lower trading volume can indicate that much of the asset, like Tether USDT, is being held for longer periods, potentially as a stable store of value for use as collateral or in various DeFi applications, rather than constant high-volume trading.
And it would make a lot of sense for countries with high inflation to just go out and hodl Tether USDT as opposed to, let's say, Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, right?
That's a plausible strategy. In countries with high inflation, stablecoins can provide a more stable currency peg, making them a potentially more attractive option for preserving value compared to more volatile cryptocurrencies.
Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and look at the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. Do you want to tell our listeners the price of Bitcoin? And then, why don't you read out the matrix for Ethereum as well as Ripple, please?
Right, George. Bitcoin's price is 67,334, with a minus 1.32% change in 24 hours and a minus 1.87% change in 7 days. Ethereum is 1,942, with a minus 1.77% change in 24 hours and a minus 0.76% over 7 days. And Ripple XRP is 1.38, with a plus 3.67% in 24 hours and a plus 5.70% over 7 days.
And for our listeners, when you talk about minus, you're actually saying that the prices are down. And when you say plus, it does mean that the prices are up, isn't it?
That's exactly right, George. Minus indicates a decrease in price, and plus signifies an increase.
Now look, Satoshi, right now there's still extreme fear, but the number has marginally increased. Last week the number was holding between 12 to 13. Right now it is at 14. But look, guys, at a macro level, things are definitely getting better than ever before. But when you talk about United States of America, there's some really interesting news. And the news essentially is that the Supreme Court has ruled against Trump's tariffs, and they have ruled that Trump exceeded his authority by using emergency powers to impose broad import tariffs without congressional approval. But here's the thing, guys. In response to this, President Trump has announced new tariff plans. Now, what I'll be doing, Satoshi, is I'll go ahead and release a standalone episode where we go ahead and delve into details regarding that. Because to be completely honest, there's quite a lot of information that needs to be covered in that. But for our listeners, Satoshi, do you want to tell our listeners the move that President Donald Trump has done? And more importantly, how do you think it's going to be impacting the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies?
Yes, George. President Donald Trump is indeed imposing tariffs. What I'd really recommend our listeners to do, George, is go to the official White House website and read through the proclamation. It clearly states that President Donald Trump is imposing a temporary import surcharge, and this is to address fundamental international payments problems. You should also check out the fact sheet where President Trump is imposing a temporary import duty to address these same problems. And George, there are 2 executive orders as well, ending certain tariff actions and continuing the suspension of duty-free de minimis treatment for all countries. You know, George, because of this drama regarding tariffs, we might be seeing a temporary dip in the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but eventually these prices may eventually wear off, and we might be seeing a positive development.
That is definitely great point, Satoshi. Thank you so very much for that. And what I'd really recommend our listeners to do is go to the official White House website and read through the actions done by President Donald Trump. Because initially he said he would impose a 10% global tariff on all US imports under different legal authority. And this is Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. But later on, he actually boosted that rate to 15% because that is the maximum currently allowed under the statute. And later on, Satoshi actually boosted that rate to 15%. That is the maximum currently allowed under the statute. Now, for our listeners, it is important to note the additional 15% is temporary and it can only remain in place for up to 150 days without Congress extending it. Now, because of that, Satoshi, I do feel that the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have fallen down. But as you mentioned, over the next coming days and weeks, the prices will see a positive development. But look, as whatever we are saying is definitely not financial advice. Make sure you go and do your own research. Now let's go and talk about a really interesting development regarding Bitcoin mining. Now here's the thing, Satoshi, every 2016 block, the Bitcoin mining difficulty gets adjusted, isn't it? Now before we go and read out a couple of metrics regarding Bitcoin mining difficulty, do you want to tell our listeners at a very basic level, what is it that the miners tend to do?
Sure, George. At a basic level, Bitcoin mining difficulty is essentially a measure of how challenging it is to find a valid hash for the next block. It's a critical mechanism that ensures the network security and keeps the time between blocks consistent, roughly 10 minutes. This difficulty adjusts periodically to accommodate changes in the network's total hash rate.
And for our listeners, this difficulty gets adjusted every 2016 block, which is roughly around 2 weeks. And according to me, Satoshi, this is one of the genius of Satoshi Nakamoto, isn't it? And this is where game theory kicks in as well. Because look, when too many miners are involved and if the Bitcoin mining difficulty is extremely tough, the mining difficulty gets lowered and vice versa, right?
That's right, George. It's a brilliant piece of design that maintains equilibrium. And speaking of that, the latest statistics are quite notable. The Bitcoin mining difficulty has just jumped 15%, which is the largest percentage increase since 2021. The network hash rate has rebounded to 1 zettahash per second from 826 exahash per second, even though the hash price is sitting near multi-year lows.
Now, do you want to tell our listeners an example of what 1 zettahash per second means? Why don't you give our listeners how much of electricity is actually consumed for this?
To put it in perspective, George, 1 zettahash per second represents an immense amount of computational power, requiring a substantial amount of electricity. While precise consumption varies based on mining hardware and efficiency, achieving that level involves considerable energy usage, a key consideration in the broader blockchain discussion.
Are there different examples you can give in terms of, how much of electricity is actually consumed? If you were to compare, let's say, with charging Teslas or cities, do you want to share some interesting metrics so that listeners can get an idea as to how much of electricity is actually consumed in order to go out and protect the Bitcoin network?
While direct comparisons can be complex, to give your listeners a sense, some estimates suggest the entire Bitcoin network consumes electricity comparable to some smaller countries. It's a vast energy footprint, all dedicated to maintaining the decentralized network, George.
So it does make Bitcoin probably the most secure network in the entire world, right?
It certainly contributes significantly to its unparalleled security. The immense hash rate makes it incredibly difficult for any single entity to compromise the network, which is key to its decentralized nature.
And one of the reasons, Satoshi, why we are seeing an increase regarding the Bitcoin mining difficulty pump up by 15% was in the last Bitcoin mining difficulty, the mining difficulty did actually fall down miserably as well. But look, when the Bitcoin mining difficulty increases, it does become extremely difficult for Bitcoin miners, isn't it? Because right now the prices of Bitcoin isn't looking that great.
That's a valid point, George. The increase does present challenges, especially when the hash price is hovering near multi-year lows. It puts pressure on miners' operations to maintain profitability.
So it's going to be really interesting to see, Satoshi, how the Bitcoin mining industry reacts to this particular information. Now let's go ahead and discuss the next news for today, Satoshi. And this is connected to World Liberty Financial, isn't it? And I believe they had a crypto summit, and there were some really interesting people involved in this. So why don't you tell our listeners where this event was held and read out all the names of the people that were connected to this event, because there are some really interesting and the most influential people, not just in the cryptocurrency space, but even in the music industry as well, isn't it?
Indeed, George. Transitioning to the World Liberty Financial Forum, that was quite the gathering at the Mar-a-Lago Club. The event brought together figures like Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon, Franklin Templeton CEO Jenny Johnson, Changpeng Zhao, Gianni Infantino, and Nicki Minaj. Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. criticized banks and the financial system, while discussions touched on crypto, tokenization, and regulation. Barry Sternlitt and Kevin O'Leary also noted that regulatory uncertainty is preventing major institutions.
Now, when you talk about tokenization, Satoshi, I do feel the whole narrative in 2026 and going beyond will be around tokenization along with stable coins. Now, unfortunately, at this point of time, we do not have more information as to what the event was all about, because this event was actually only for Americans. But let's go ahead and delve into the next news, Satoshi, and this is connected to Ethereum, where they're now focusing on a major upgrade, and looks like Ethereum is going really hard, and they want to be a censorship-resistant protocol, isn't it? So why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Why don't you tell our listeners what this news is all about? Because at the beginning of the episode, you did briefly mention about Ethereum Improvement Proposal 8141, along with Fossil. So let's go ahead and break down this news in detail for our listeners.
You're absolutely right, George. Tokenization is a key narrative. And speaking of major updates, Vitalik Buterin has posted that Ethereum is going hard. The focus is on censorship resistance with key upgrades like EIP 8141, which makes smart accounts and privacy protocols first-class citizens, and Fossil, ensuring rapid inclusion of transactions. Together, these allow for quick and secure transaction processing through 17 randomly chosen actors.
And I'm right in saying, Satoshi, that so far as fossils are concerned, they are currently right now extremely small at roughly around 8 KB, but eventually they can grow much bigger in terms of size.
Yes, fossils are currently quite small, around 8 kilobytes, but the potential for growth is significant, George, allowing most transactions to eventually go through them. This functionality maintains censorship resistance and rapid inclusion.
And this particular upgrade, if I'm not mistaken, will actually take place by the end of this year. So it looks like Ethereum wants to be censorship resistant. But look, as me personally, I'm not a fan of Ethereum protocol as such. And according to me, it is a solution to a problem that does not exist. But look, as news such as this directly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So these were some macro level newscasts on the Bitcoin blockchain and cryptocurrency world. Now let's go and look at two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Now the first news, Satoshi, is in the world of tokenization, and I believe it is from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, isn't it?
Certainly, George. Jozo has issued the first private sector tokenized real estate deed in Saudi Arabia, a major milestone for property innovation in the kingdom. This deed was issued under the regulatory sandbox and officially registered, ensuring legal and financial credibility.
Now, am I right in saying that this is the first major milestone for the real estate sector in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as it is a new phase for property innovation as well?
That's correct, George. Each digital token is directly linked to a physical property, combining blockchain technology with strong regulatory oversight for legal and financial credibility, marking a significant step.
So it is not just a virtual representation, and here's the thing, as the property is officially registered to Real Estate Registry, thereby giving it a formal recognition, and this is the first real-world execution of tokenized real estate deeds in Saudi Arabia's private sector. Now, regarding tokenization, Satoshi, it does allow a single property to be divided into smaller ownership units called as digital shares, isn't it?
Precisely, George. This structure opens up the real estate market to a wider audience by allowing investors to enter with much lower capital compared to traditional methods.
And that's absolutely correct, Satoshi, and lower entry cost, according to me, makes property investment more accessible to a wider group of investors. And here's the thing, guys, because transparency is involved, the system increases transparency because ownership details are officially documented and verifiable. And so far as investor protection is concerned, Satoshi, am I right in saying that it is actually strengthened? And this is because there's secure documentation that safeguards the rights of all co-owners?
Indeed, investor protection is strengthened through that secure documentation.
So look, as this initiative allows the rapid modernization of Saudi Arabia's property market, and it does demonstrate how the kingdom has the legal and technical infrastructure needed to support PropTech innovation. And it does demonstrate that the kingdom has the legal and technical infrastructure needed to support PropTech innovation. And so far as Jazzo is concerned, Satoshi, they have actually emphasized that tokenization is no longer theoretical, but more of a practical and documented reality. So look, at this particular move supports financial sector development, and this is by introducing new investment in financial models. and it does contribute to increasing home ownership opportunities to innovative property structures. And so far as this milestone is concerned, Satoshi, it does strongly align with objectives of Saudi Vision 2030 for the advancing digital transformation and economic diversification, isn't it?
That's comprehensive, George. Jozo emphasizes that tokenization is now practical, supporting new financial models and increasing homeownership per Saudi Vision 2030. Now, moving to the UAE news, Abu Dhabi's G42 and MBZUAI are collaborating with US firm Cerebras to build an AI supercomputer in India. And moving to next news, Abu Dhabi's G42 and MBZUAI are collaborating with US firm Cerebras to build an AI supercomputer in India.
And so far as MBZUAI is concerned, Satoshi, it is Mohammed bin Ziyad University of Artificial Intelligence. And look, so far as G42 is concerned, they are from the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, and they have announced plans to build a national-scale AI supercomputer in India. And this is in a major UAE collaboration. And here's the thing, guys, the supercomputer will deliver 8 exaflops of computing power, which is equal to 8 quintillion calculations per second. Now, do you want to tell our listeners more information regarding this new Satoshi?
This massive computing capacity supports both nations' ambitions to build sovereign and high-performance AI ecosystems operating under India-defined governance rules.
And this system will operate under India-defined governance rules with full data sovereignty and national security compliance, right?
Yes, and all data will remain within India's borders. The announcement was made during the AI Impact Summit 2026.
And look, as the supercomputer will serve as a core asset under India's national AI strategy. This initiative strengthens the growing strategic partnership between the United Arab Emirates and India, and this is across technology and other sectors. And once operational, the system will be accessible to government bodies, universities, startups, SMEs, and large enterprises. Now, what is the goal of this movement, Satoshi?
The goal is to democratize AI access and lower barriers for innovation across India's 1.4 billion population, accelerating AI model training and deployment.
And so far as exaflop is concerned, do you want to tell us what does it actually represent?
An exaflop represents extreme computing speed, enabling tasks that are impossible for traditional machines. It reflects G42's broader strategy.
And if I'm not mistaken, Satoshi, earlier G42 also signed an agreement with Vietnam Senate, and this was to develop sovereign AI and cloud infrastructure, right?
That is correct. They also launched Condor Galaxy, a network of 9 interconnected AI supercomputers in 2023.
And in December, G42 and Mohammed bin Ziyad University of Artificial Intelligence released NADA 87B, which is an open source Hindi-English large language model with 87 billion parameters, and India's fast-growing digital economy, guys, makes it a key hub for regional AI development and deployment. And the new AI systems will accelerate AI models training and development, helping India build secure, large-scale solutions tailored to national needs. So really interesting development all the way from India, and it is connected to the Emirates of Abu Dhabi as well. So these were the newscasts on the Bitcoin blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence world from Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes is going to be an Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, alright?
We can now transition to the Ask Me Anything series. What questions do you have from your listeners?
Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. We have a question by Ron Satoshi who asked, with DeFi volume going ridiculously low, can you tell our listeners why the volume is low? And what is it that we can do in order to go ahead and increase the volume of decentralized finance? This, to be honest, is such an interesting question. Why don't you start, Satoshi, and then I'll go ahead and share my thoughts regarding it.
That's a great question, Ryan. The lower volume in decentralized finance, or DeFi, can be attributed to a few factors. Compared to traditional finance, the DeFi market is still relatively nascent, and many institutional and retail investors are still cautious due to regulatory uncertainty and volatility. The complexity of some platforms can also be a barrier. What are your thoughts on the macro level narrative around tokenization, George, and how that might impact DeFi adoption?
Now, look, I totally agree that the volume of decentralized finance is definitely less. And if you actually compare, let's say, with the volume of 2025 and beyond that, the numbers were around the 15 to $16 billion mark. But look, Ryan, at the macro level, the prices of Bitcoin is actually falling down. And according to me, there are several factors. One and probably the most important is the rise of artificial intelligence. A lot of investments, according to me, is actually flowing into artificial intelligence. And a similar trend was actually observed during 2020 and 2021, where a lot of the investment was actually going into metaverse. Now you touch base on tokenization, Satoshi. I do feel that the whole narrative going forward in 2026 will be regarding tokenization. Now talking about tokenization, we do have some hope because one of the giant companies, that is BlackRock, who by the way are actively involved in tokenization, they did actually announce a partnership with Uniswap, I believe 2 weeks ago. So keeping that thing in mind, Ryan, I do feel that probably in the next coming weeks and months, we might be seeing a lot of partnership with a lot of trillion-dollar companies with that of decentralized exchanges. And because of that, I do anticipate the volume of decentralized finance to be increasing. Now, regarding the second part of your question, what is it that we can do in order to go ahead and increase the volume of decentralized finance? The answer to that is pretty simple. Go ahead and use decentralized exchanges. But look, I have to admit, the user experience in decentralized exchanges is definitely not great. As a matter of fact, it is like you're using a system going back to 1990. So for our developers, what they need to focus on, maybe use artificial intelligence and make the user experience much better, because that is the only way people can go ahead and start using a lot of decentralized exchanges, in my honest opinion. And if that thing happens, the volume in decentralized finance will be picking up pace. Because look, Ryan, what I tend to do is I tend to look at the decentralized to centralized exchange dominance, and in 2025, this percentage was hovering around the 40 to 50% mark. Today, unfortunately, it is down to 20.37%. So definitely an interesting question. What's your take regarding it, Satoshi?
You make a compelling point, George. The significant pivot towards AI investments, as seen by the developments in supercomputing by G42 and MVC UAI, certainly draws capital that might have previously flowed into DeFi. Your observation about the user experience is also critical. Improving accessibility and simplifying platforms could definitely attract more volume, potentially reversing the trend you highlighted.
And look, other than that, the only thing I can see it at a macro level, things are definitely shaping out. And what I'll be doing, Ryan, and even for our listeners, I will be releasing a standalone episode where we go and talk about both of peace in Gaza. And more importantly, I'll link it to how it could actually impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, in that episode, I'm also going to be talking about tariffs and the brilliant move done by President Donald Trump and how it could actually impact not just the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, potentially the impact on stable coins as well. And finally, I'll also go and touch base on the midterm elections and how it is all connected to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, if any of your listeners do want to collaborate on it or want to go and sponsor that particular episode, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. But thank you so very much for that question, and it is definitely an interesting question. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Remember, Monday to Thursdays, we have Blockchain DXB podcast, where we look at the process, we look at the latest technological development, we talk about everything at a macro level, we take a deep dive into different partnerships, and then, guys, we look at two news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. Artificial intelligence is definitely the center stage in the Middle East right now, and there are so many different developments and partnerships taking on in the Middle East. And along with artificial intelligence, we also talk about regional news in the world of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.
A truly insightful discussion, George. And thank you to Ryan for the question. As we've covered, the market is definitely at a complex juncture. We'll continue to track these developments, including the macro narrative and major partnerships.